This is the new Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV, and it's the first ever built from the ground up, supposed to be an EV SUV from Mercedes. Essentially, it's a jacked up EQS. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it by walking around the exterior, the interior, showing you some of its tech and some of its cool features, including those running boards I just jumped off. Something interesting about those, tell you in a bit. Anyway, I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching Car Wow. And if you like news videos on the latest news cars as they break, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on. That way you won't miss a single video. Buy, sell, Car Wow. Let's start this video by talking about the design. And the EQS SUV looks rather like an EQS that's been lifted. Surprise, surprise. Has a similar blanked off grille, and look, we've got the Mercedes 3-point star in there. Got a full length daytime running light there, strip across the front. You get LED lights as standard, of course, but you can get an upgraded set of lights with 1.3 million little mirrors in them to direct light exactly where it needs to be. Now the difference between the EQS SUV and the normal saloon car is that the LED daytime running lights are like this triangular design here rather than the dots of the saloon, and the car obviously is more imposing. It's like 33 millimeters wider than the saloon version. Something else I need to tell you that's like the saloon version. Mercedes won't let you under the bonnet for some reason. However, earlier on I saw a man working under the bonnet, so I now know how to get in there. And in another video with one of these kind of cars, when I get it in the UK and there isn't a cross-looking German from Mercedes watching me, I'll show you what's under there, I promise. Because the bonnet doesn't open, if you need to top up with windscreen washer fluid, you do it here through this little port, just like on the EQS. And the wheelbase and the distance between the front and the rear wheel is exactly the same as on the EQS because it shares the same floor plan as the car. However, this SUV is actually 9 centimeters shorter, and that, combined with the fact that it's 20 meters higher, centimeters higher, should make it easier to park than the big EQS saloon. See these running boards here? Optional extra. You have to pay if you want those, but you can save some money though, because they improve the car's aerodynamics, which means you get more kilometers per charge out of the car. Mercedes won't say exactly how many more kilometers you'll get from those, but it'll probably be just a few. Here at the back, you've got a full length light bar, which looks really nice. You probably noticed this as well, the roof spoiler, and it's black, which means that it makes the car look slightly low at the rear end, a bit more coupe-like than it actually is, because you're right, it follows this line here. He told me that. I'm just repeating exactly what the man from Mercedes said. Underneath, yeah, they've done a good job of making the floor as flat as possible to reduce drag, and apparently this is going to be a very, very efficient car for slipping through the air for an SUV. Now the most aerodynamic production car in the world is the EQS. This won't be quite as good as that because of its more boxy shape, but it should still be pretty impressive. And it's one of the reasons that Mercedes has decided not to fit any roof bars, which are kind of common on SUVs, because they do increase the drag. Here on the inside, the design is just like the EQS, only you're sitting higher, of course. However, you seem quite low compared to the height of the dash, so your view forward isn't quite as good as you might think. Your view forward here though is very good, especially if you've got the upgraded hyperscreen. I mean, look at it, it's massive, it's high def, it's got so many features and functions, and you can get a screen for your passengers so they can look at different things, including being able to watch television, or more likely YouTube or Netflix, you know, who watches TV these days, while you're driving. Though this car can sense if you, the driver, start to like look over at what they're watching, and that might distract you. And if that happens, then it will make their screen go blank. It's clever. I tell you what's also clever. Look at this new trim that is debuting on this EQS SUV. So you got ash wood here, but it's got embedded in it aluminium Mercedes 3-point stars. So what they do to create that is they get some ash wood, they get some aluminium, lay it on top, then they laser etch the stars, then use a massive press to force the two together so that the star goes into the wood. And there you go. Now you can have leather interior, Napa leather, or a vegan friendly interior as well, because obviously electric car, right? From launch, there'll be 2 versions of the EQS SUV available. The first is the 450 Plus. It has a single motor at the back axle, puts out 360 horsepower and 568 newton meters of torque and can do 0 to 60 miles an hour in around 6.2 seconds. Then there is the 580 that has a motor on the back axle and the front axle, and combined they put out 544 horsepower and 858 newton meters of torque. That one can do 0 to 60 in around 4.7 seconds. Now these cars are quite heavy, so the 450 plus weighs in at 2.6 tons and it's 2.7 tons for the 580. Now, the four-wheel drive system on the 580 is quite clever. It can actually alter the power between the front and rear axle 10,000 times every second. Now, regardless of which EQS SUV you go for, they all have rear wheel steering. Now, standard, it can turn the back wheels up to 4.5 degrees, but you can pay extra for it to turn the back wheels at up to 10 degrees. Now, the standard car has a turning circle of 11.9 meters, whereas the upgraded rear axle steering can actually do a full circle in just 11 meters. Here in the back seats of the EQS SUV, there is absolutely loads of room, despite the panoramic glass roof on this car. Yep. Is there a small woman back there? Anyway, yeah, look, I've still got lots of headroom. Loads of knee room as well, lots of foot space because of that flat floor. It's lovely, feels luxurious. This has the upgraded rear infotainment package there, so I can control various features in the car, such as my massaging seats, and I can really chill out, fold this down as well if I want to, and there's a tablet which you can pop out and...
Stock battery level 100%.
There she is, she's in here somewhere. Hello? You alright? Anyway, I can move my seat forward, look at this. Will you shut up now? You had your chance. I can move this seat forward up to 130 millimeters, so quite a way. And even when you do that, there's still decent knee room. Why would you want to do that though? Why? I need to go and see what's going on back there. And that'll give me the opportunity to show you another feature about this car, because look at this, come on, come on, come on, yeah. Look at this. Shut your mouth. This is a 7-seater. Come on, come back. Right. Right. I totally don't know how to get this back. Come back. Man from Mercedes, can you help me put this back?
Press it.
I'm pressing it.
Just push the button and it should work.
Wait a bloody minute, I pushed the button. I totally pushed the button. Now, I'm gonna let you see how much room there is. Can you put this seat into a position that you'd be happy to sit in, please? Come on. There you go, look, 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 let's see what it's like in the back. You might want to recline a bit though, that's it, yeah, you can recline. You can stop reclining now, there. Okay, so, no, you can, that's enough, don't take the piss. Right, so, headroom, it's a bit tight for adults back here, but it is doable, you could do a journey. And, you know what, you can get this car with 5-zone climate control, so you can make yourself as comfortable as possible. You can even get heated seats here in the rearmost row. Do you know how to make her shut up as well?
Not yet.
Because Mercedes doesn't want to be outdone by Porsche or Audi with their motorised charging sockets, they've fitted one to their car. And if you drive off with it open, it just shuts, and that's not because the wind pushes it back, it does it electrically as well. Speaking of electrics, this car's battery pack is 108 kilowatt hours. Now that'll give you a range in the 450 plus of around 370 miles. It'll charge a DC charger at 200 kilowatts, and it has 22 kilowatt onboard charging. So if you have that facility at home, you can actually charge it pretty quickly if you want. Right, I'm going to show you the boot. Obviously electrically powered tailgate, and I can fold the seats down from here. Come on, fold down. Right, while that's happening, I can explain to you that all versions of this EQS SUV have air suspension as standard. But if you have a you have to do these manually. If you have a 4-wheel drive version, go on, bugger off. You get adjustable ride height, so you have an off-road mode with various settings for the driving modes, and it'll raise the suspension by 25 millimeters. In fact, if you're driving around and you need to raise your suspension to go up a high curb or something, the car will remember exactly where that curb is and just automatically raise the suspension when it needs to next time, so you don't have to faff about. Obviously, when you're driving fast on the motorway, it'll lower the car down to improve the aerodynamics. As for the pricing, well, this car will start from around £100,000, obviously increasing as you add options and move up the range. Speaking of which, there will be an AMG version of this and a Maybach. I know what you're thinking. Oh, look, the seats don't go flat. I should complain about that. More likely you should complain about the way I've done this because I forgot to make the headrest go down flat. There we go, you have to press the button on them. They're like that. Then like that. Sorry, I'm all in a bit of a rush because we've got to get another group in here. I need to move on. Normal service will be resumed next video.